what's weird? I've been doing improv like the last couple months, and I've just been on fire. Like, just right off the bat, just do these things, and it's amazing. I can't think of an opener. Go figure. Welcome, friends. LostScarf here. It's time for the vlog, and these vlogs, to be real, these vlogs are therapy for Scarf. So that's what these are. Last week I talked about shame. This week I want to talk about humility and frustration. Humility first. So, of course, doing the improv and all that stuff, and people knowing I do YouTube, people keep asking about the YouTube channel. I'm like, I don't want to show them that. I really don't. And I mentioned it last week because of shame. But there's humility as well in that just recognizing that you have your low points, you have to have your fail points to learn from them. So I don't know, maybe I will share the channel. I probably won't. I don't want to. I don't want to feel more shame on it. But another humility thing, and also probably another reason why I don't want to share necessarily, is I don't remember what I've said in some of these, because I talk about the improv. It's not that, it's just, did I talk shit? I don't remember. And I'm not going to go back and watch them because, well, they're out there. They're going to, if they are, they are, and then there you go. I'm sure I talked a little bit. I know I talked a little bit in my head for sure. And that I feel humility in that there's one dude, he's a bit abrasive, a bit more negative, definitely negative Nancy than everyone else that in the class. He was much more critical. There's nothing wrong with that, but it did, of course, conflict with the vibe because the class was very positive, and you could see he just wanted to be more negative, at least because he wants to learn more. I would say that. I say that now with the thought of it. During the class like that, he's just being really negative. That's not helping anything. But out of everyone there, out of everyone in the class, out of everyone in the performances and everything, when we did a big performance, everything's said and done, everyone's just hanging out a little bit and talking, and it's just me and him, and we talked for 4 freaking hours. We went for 4 hours, like, it was like 12:30 at night. It's like, okay, we gotta just go home already, so I'll just talk to you another time. And that's what happened. It was a lot of just some critical thoughts on the performances and just other topics as well. And the realization is just like, it's just that he cares a lot about the craft. He just really wants to learn it very well. And that's why he's just being more critical and things like that. And that's the realization, that's the humility part, is recognizing where someone else is coming from. Like, actually recognizing where someone else is coming from. Because I know social media and everything has really effed us up. And it's not like social media boogeyman, it's something you have to recognize is, yeah, it has effed us up, and that everyone's got to have a hot take, or everyone has to have a quick assessment of things. We're all guilty of that because, well, it's just how things are. One moment. Other topic, procrastination. Also, it's about shame. I think I mentioned this before. So the blinds. Yeah, I mentioned this last week about shame. The blinds, I have not fixed those yet. I probably won't have them fixed again for maybe 1 or 2 more weeks because I just won't be home for them to be here for this. Have them fix this thing and I can put in the black shade again. And because of that, I have these boxes here to cover the light instead, because I can't record during the day because of the damn light. Okay, so what was I talking about? Just recognizing where the people are coming from. Thing is, not everyone's an asshole. There are a lot of assholes. This is true, but not everyone is. Some people are just misinformed, or they just come off differently. That's really it. It's like, he recognizes that he comes off negative. He recognizes he comes off a bit more abrasive, and that's just his character. That's it. And actually having conversations with him, I accept that and I understand, like, oh, okay, all right. So I was a bit of an asshole, I feel, by judging him based on those things. And so now I feel like, well, yeah, he's been an asshole. So I feel bad about that. And it's nature. Human nature is to make a judgment. Just because once you have a judgment on something, then you can run with whatever. Like, fire bad. You instantly recognize, well, after something teaches you that fire is not a good thing to deal with and things like that. You don't know it till you know it. As elementary as it feels and sounds, you don't know it till you know it. You're a child, you see fire, you don't know it's bad until it burns you or someone tells you, and they tell you enough that you recognize and understand that. That's just how it be. And you don't realize how fast fire can spread until you F up or you see an example of that. When I was a kid, and this comes full circle, when I was a kid, we had a fireplace. And I enjoyed just putting paper into the fireplace to burn and just watch the fire burn. It was really fun and everything. And I had like newspapers and just throwing them in there. Like taking newspapers from this messed up, like a 7-Eleven. They had like a big stack. I just took them all. I didn't pay. I just took them outside just from there and just ran out with them, not knowing. I thought newspapers were free. And so I'm just burning paper. And the one time, I just did a dumb job of it, and the paper was just laid out in a line, basically, just scattered, and it spread. The fire from the fireplace got to that paper, and it was spreading, and it spread past the fireplace to the couch we had next to the fireplace, because who doesn't want to lay back and just near a fire? Here's the problem. My mother was sleeping on the couch. So it gets to the couch, it's burning the couch, she's right there, I have to shake her awake. Of course, she's awake, he was like, huh, what? And then, holy shit kind of situation. That happened. We kept that couch for like 10 years. That burnt couch, just because, well, it's a couch. You don't, couches have character. And that happened. That freaking happened. And so, that's me learning, fire is very dangerous. I was like 5 or something when that happened. Nearly burned my mom and the house down. She quickly got into action and put it all out. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. It was a little dipshit. And so, the humility is just learning things. We're always learning. We're always learning and recognizing and understanding. And the problem is, there's too much of the time we just have the bullshit of thinking we know everything. We have the bullshit of thinking we know every bit of a subject. The truth of the matter is, with any given subject, unless that's your life, you probably don't know shit. Honestly, with politics, just easily politics. Everyone thinks they know what the hell they're talking about. Everyone thinks they know what's going on. But if you actually got asked about the bills that are going on in the House and in the Senate and all that stuff, you're not going to know a damn thing. Unless you're watching C-SPAN, unless you're actually on the pulse, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. You're just parroting, most likely, CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, the fake ones, the ones that are potentially also fake, you just don't know anymore. Just parroting something. You're parroting someone else because you trust that they're telling the truth. And that can be dangerous. It's very unfortunate. And I don't think enough of us has the humility to recognize that, yeah, we're probably talking out of our ass. A lot of it is, and this goes with shame again, we don't want to have the shame or embarrassment of being wrong or being ignorant, so we just bullshit. We just bullshit. And bullshit can get you to places. It happens all the time. You bullshit on a resume, you get into a job, and bam, you got this job you have no right being in, but you're there. Now you got to figure it out. And if you don't figure it out, you're screwed. Because, I can take this even further back. Teddy Roosevelt's whole thing was, you say you could do it, you get hired, and then you figure that shit out. But that is, okay, you say you can do it, and while you're in the process, you're learning as much as you can, and then you get hired, and then you know it, or you're learning it, you're still learning it, but you know more, and then you have it. This is more of a trust in the person, though. Trust that the person is gonna figure out the job, and not they're gonna just bumble it up and people die kind of situation. Teddy Roosevelt's my favorite president, because he was just crazy. Very crazy. He was a crazy man. He's not perfect, obviously. No president is perfect. But holy crap, the stories I could tell about that guy. If I was a president historian, it would be Theodore Roosevelt, just because he's the most exciting one. The rivals, of course, are Washington and Lincoln, because Lincoln lived both of them lived in interesting times. Washington and Lincoln, of course, Washington the Revolution, Lincoln in the Civil War. You know the tragedy about Lincoln is he died before he got to be a president in peacetime? That's really unfortunate. And I am curious, there is theory that he could have been impeached. Lincoln, because of the things he did for the Civil War, like to keep things together, because not everything he did was legal. So who knows how that would have gone. Instead, it was the next guy, the guy after me got impeached, because that guy was doing some bullshit. So that is the humility side of things. So yeah, feel bad, talk shit. I don't think I talked loudly, but I know I talked a bit in my head. And it depends on who you are, whether you're guilty of thought or not. There's the whole thought police thing. I think you yourself can be guilty of your own thoughts if you want to be, but I don't think anyone else should judge you on your thoughts, because at the end of the day, thoughts are thoughts, and it's about the actions. And you can be, I'm going to go this far, you can be racist. You can be totally racist and biased and all that stuff. You can have all that, but it's whether or not you allow that to influence your actions. That's what's important. Like, if you can recognize that you're being unfair in your mindset and try to be objective, then yeah, okay, fine. That's not so bad. That's such a slippery slope to talk about, though. But like, they talk about college admissions and things like that, and job interviews, and your name will influence that. Where they'll say, like, if your name is just some silly name or hard to pronounce, it gives you a harder chance of getting accepted. That's just a thing, and it's just very unfortunate. That's something they found statistically. So it's better to just not show the names. And that's a practice some places do, is they look at the credentials, they don't look at the names. They only look at that so that they can make a judgment from that. Because people do have biases based on race or names or things like that. Even age can have some biases as well. So it's important to just look at that. If you want to be truly fair, then you look only at the credentials. You don't look at other things that can inform you about the person and not what they can do. Of course, interviews are there for personality. So you do an interview, you learn personality, all that stuff, then you can get more there. I'm talking about just the resume, because resume is quite the cutoff point. And yeah, there can be racial cutting, which is not the best. So frustration. So here's a frustration. And lawyers don't want me to talk about too many things, of course. So I'm not going to get too specific, but here's the thing. TRUFUSE. There's like a 2.5-minute video on YouTube for this surgery. And I guess knowing what that is, you can look up who this guy is, but here's what's going on. So, like a month ago, like 3 weeks ago, I go in to see this orthopedist. This is a bone doctor. And he looks at everything and he says, okay, all right, we're going to take one of those discs out. I'm like, shit. And then we're going to do a thing called true fuse. That's the thing I just spelled out to you. I'm like, okay, all right. And of course, I don't feel great about that. This is surgery. This is back surgery. This is permanent and all that stuff. And I ask questions, things like that. And the guy's trying to reassure me and everything's like, look, you can trust me. I would do this for my family. I'm never going to lie to you. And then he drops that he invented the surgery himself. Like, oh, okay. So he says that so that I recognize that he's very professional. He's done this many times, so he knows how to do the surgery. Like, okay, all right. And because I'm just like, all right, I just trust the guy, it's very much like, all right, we'll do the surgery. We'll figure out when we're going to do it. I get home. Everyone's like, you should get a second opinion before you do this because it's pretty serious. Like, yeah, that's true. I should be taking a second opinion for the love of God. It is a surgery. Second opinion. So, oh yeah, before that is, some of you might be familiar with epidural injections, which are done to the back. They try to make things better. His opinion is it won't do anything. That's what this guy's opinion is. So weeks later, second opinion, like a week ago, second opinion, I go see this guy. And for him, his thing is, no, you don't need to remove the whole disc, just remove some of the disc. Because the problem with me is, I've got 2 discs that are herniated and they're squeezing on the nerve. So every day, just think about this, since August, every day of my life, my leg is sometimes numb. And I have a hard time sleeping because the way this works is they're squeezing on the nerve. And so blood circulation isn't always getting to my leg. When I'm active and moving around, I'm fine because I'm circulating it. But when I go to bed, there's no more circulation and I wake up in pain. Every night for months, I've been like this. So obviously it's not getting better. It feels like it's getting worse because I feel like I'm getting more numbness, which is not good. So we got to do something. That's what the surgeries are about. So his thought is, shave off some of the disc so that there's less pressure on the nerve. That's what his thought process is. And don't do the fusion, because when you do a fusion, the rest of your spine has to compensate for that fusion, which means over time you're deteriorating more and more of your spine because of that. And like, well, crap. So what this means is the second opinion does not agree with the first opinion. The second opinion thinks we need to do less and doesn't want to do the fusion at all. So now I've got two opinions in conflict. I'm going in today to see the first guy again, and I'm bringing my sister with me because she's done nurse training, so she can ask maybe better questions than me. And just have some better understanding. And after that, and so this morning, my lawyer texted me, like, all right, so who do you want to do the injections? The first guy or the second guy? And here's the problem. The second guy, he sounded like and he's trying to sell me on injections, and he really wants to know if I want to make him the primary to do the injections. And so here's the problem. Both these guys have ulterior motives. The first guy, and the way everyone's argued it is, when you have a hammer, all you see are nails, because he sees like, this guy's got back problems, why don't we use the one thing I'm really good at? So that bothers me. The second guy was trying to sell me on having him do the injections, having him do the smaller shaving of the disc. He's trying to sell me on him doing that. That does not give me confidence in either of these guys. That worries me, because they're trying to sell me on having them be the surgeon. So now, well, I'm going to do the injections because everyone's just saying, at least do the injections, because before you do surgery, you should do the injections to make sure that really doesn't do anything. If there's a miracle it does work, then hooray. So that's what's happening there. And I'm like, get a third opinion. People are like, get a third opinion? Yeah, I should get a third opinion. So I need to find a third opinion. But my lawyer's like, so who do you want to do the injections? I'm like, and I tell them, like, I need to figure out more shit. I need to get all these, I need to figure out more. If I need to do more MRIs, do more MRIs. If I need to do more injections, then do that while we're figuring this out, while we try to figure out what is best for my back. Because these two are in conflict. I need to find a guy who will assess everything I'm talking about and go, okay, that's the best option. Or if he has a third one, then I need a fourth opinion. I need to keep looking around until I find some consensus on what needs to be done. And it's going to cost money, but that's what the lawsuit's for. And the lawsuit is with a company that can afford it. So I'm not stressed about that. And they shouldn't be stressed about it either, because the more crap I do, the bigger the bill for the lawsuit is. And I'm not being frivolous here. This is my back. Whatever happens back there can never be undone. So it's got to be the right pick. And if I, for the love of God, fourth has a different opinion, fifth has a different opinion, sixth has a different opinion, if it just keeps going, I will flip the fuck. But at some point, I'm going to have to make a decision on what happens to my back. And I have to live with it for the rest of my life. And obviously, that is scary, but I'm also frustrated because everyone's trying, it's capitalist society, you got to get paid, but I need some consensus. I need someone who's just going to get paid to look and consider and not be the one who's doing the damn surgery. That's what I need. I need something impartial, and I'm not finding that at the moment, and that's what the frustration is. Don't get a back injury. That's the advice there. This is the frustrating thing is, and I'm sure I've said this before. I've said this out loud in real life to people before. I don't know if I've said it here, but the frustrating thing is I was just parked at a red light and sitting there waiting, and I got hit. Full on got hit in the back. You can't control that. There's nothing you can do about it. It's like the people who, like, you're just somewhere and then a plane crashes into your house. There's nothing you can do about that. There isn't a damn thing you can do about that. And that is what's so frustrating. The reminder that you don't have full control over your fate. And, yeesh. I don't mean for these to be downers, but if Scarf is going through his mental issues, it's going to be downer kind of episodes, I suppose. So let me end with a funner part. Let me end with interesting stories from improv. So we did kind of a tune-up class on Sunday, and I'm not going to be doing classes for a while because my work schedule. But this one was interesting because I got to do higher level stuff. And there was a lot of just pushing, like, what's your character's motivation? Like, when you start out, you're trying to figure out a couple things. First is, you have your character's motivation, and you have to be willing to let it go depending on who takes control of the scene. Or you can try to force it in. But they'll give you like some kind of thing. They'll be like, okay, dentist, or let me use one I actually had. Was it the airport? Okay, so one was the airport. And so I'm like, okay, I got my idea. And the other person's going to have some sort of idea. And just once someone starts it, it's up to the other person how they work with it. And this one, I started first, so we got to go with my idea. But when you're there, you got to establish who you are, who the other person is. Don't make it strangers. Make it people who actually know each other in some way. Families usually use them when you go like, hey, sis, or hey, dad, or hey, mom, hey, grandpa, hey, son, things like that. You just establish that very quickly so that they know who they are to you, and then you're just working it together. And you know who they are to you as well. Because sometimes you don't actually know what the relationship is as you're going. You're like, okay, here's a relationship, now here's how I adjust. It's a lot of adjusting, a lot of micro adjustments as you're going. And like, what is your motivation? Why are you doing what you're doing kind of thing? And then you build the world together as you're going. Sometimes you don't necessarily need to build a world. Sometimes situations enough, I feel. So one was airport, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to be TSA. So I quickly go up to the other person, and I fold my arms like, and I just go like, hey, look at this jackass. So this is the scene I created. I created a scene like, hey, look at this dork. Look what they're doing. And I'm just being like this, very quickly just judging something, and they very quickly realize, oh, we're TSA, and then they get in on it. And I'm like, look at this dork. You could clearly see the knife. He's not going to get through. We're going to catch him. Nothing's going to happen here. Come on. And he's like, oh yeah, and the guy with the gun there is like, yeah, you can just clearly see in his pocket. And we just build on that. We're building on that. And they're like, okay, this is good, but we can make it more. So I'm like, you weren't here last week, but this dude came in with a claymore. And like, what? Yeah, you think it would have tipped us off when he came in a full suit of armor. But no, he tried to sneak in a claymore. I don't even know how. It's huge. And then she builds on, is like, oh yeah, and this guy tried to sneak in something, and I forget what it was. And they're like, oh yeah, and then yesterday, like, so this becomes the game of just like, we're just building it. And so I'm like, oh, and then yesterday, you wouldn't believe this. This was crazy. So guy gets in, he doesn't have any weapons or anything. Nothing. Everything checks out pretty well. He goes through, he gets beeps, like, okay, whatever. So then we put him in the X-ray machine. He's a robot. And the crowd loses it. Like, that was great. That was really good. And so there was a lot of assessing, and the assessment for me that they found was, I have really good charisma. I can be very charismatic. And I'll explain the scene that really showed that in a second. But I can be really charismatic, which, yeah, I can do that. I know that. I hold that back sometimes, which could really help if I got good at it. So I have great charisma. I have great salesman charisma. And I have the ability to make twists, and I have really good punchlines. So that feels good. That really feels good. Like, you have these talents that you can't really be taught. I'm like, that feels nice. That feels really nice. Because, yeah, a robot, that's just a twist. You don't see it coming. It just surprises everyone. Everyone laughs, and like, yay. The only thing is, it does stop it. So what happens there is, it just ends the scene. And that's where I got to improve on is making twists that don't necessarily end the scene. Like, they can be funny, but they can't be too funny. Which is, how arrogant does that sound? But, because one scene I did, and this was in the big performance, was me and the other person, and they do straight man a lot. And so when we went into it, I tried to be the straight man so that they can do whatever, but they stayed straight man, and they didn't want to be straight man. I feel bad about this. They didn't want to be a straight man, but they did it. They're just too good of a straight man, where even when I gave them the reins, they were still straight man, like, all right, I'm going to take this to the next level. So the scene was Lego. There you go. So we show up, and she's like, you going to clean these up? I was like, well, okay, yeah, I can clean them up, but what do you have in mind that we do with them after? And she's like, well, just put them into one big block, and then we can put it away. I'm like, well, this thing's not going anywhere. So I'm like, okay, yeah, we can make it into one big block so that, yeah, when someone steps on it, it'll hurt a lot more than just a bunch of little ones. And then I take it to even bigger levels. Like we can get a bunch of Legos together. We can get a sponsorship from, like, we can get like Patreon and Indiegogo and just all that stuff. So we can build a big Lego, like a giant Lego, so big that it'll kill Godzilla. And she's like, okay, let's get to building it. And then we're building it. And I'm like, maybe we can get a sponsorship from Lincoln Logs and things like that. And it's like, oh, so we're just trying to get paid? And I'm like, well, yeah, we need a lot of money because, well, look at Godzilla. He's already destroyed Japan. We got to save the world. And everyone just dies laughing. Like, the crowd was like 30, 40 strong, and they were just loving it. I'm like, yeah, this feels good. This feels real good. But I felt bad because she just the foil to everything I was doing. So the one where it showed charisma was just something outlandish. And it was like, okay, you are a unicorn smuggler. That's what they gave him. I'm like, all right, unicorn smuggler. And I get everyone involved. I get the crowd involved. I get everything going. I'm just pointing to people. I'm like, okay. Here's the plan. Here's what we're gonna do. Here's how we're gonna smuggle these unicorns. I'm like, there's a farm, there's a ranch over here, and there's a dozen unicorns there. All right, so I'm gonna dress them up as rhinos, and together we're going to get them out of here. And then we'll spread the word about these unicorns. We'll get like a zoo or museum or whatever, make a bunch of money. It'll be really great right there. And like, I need you to go, and I just point to something like, I need you. You're going to distract the ranch hand. You're going to distract the ranch owner, and you're going to do it by watching My Little Pony. He's a big fan of My Little Pony. He loves the Malicorns, so it makes sense, right? So then you be right there. And then you're going to, and what I tell this other guy, like, okay, there's an alpha unicorn, and just if they get a little antsy, just get close to them, hug them a little bit, keep them steady and everything. We're just going to move them out slowly and quietly, and it'll be all right. And then another person's just like, okay, there's like, okay, the crowd can ask questions. So like, okay, so what are some interesting facts about the unicorns? Like, okay, well, the first fact is, their horns, if you lick them, they taste exactly like the flavor you're thinking of. So think strawberry. It's really nice. And then the second fact, I go to another person like, he can't hear us, like, they're not real. And the crowd flips. I was like, wait, what? They're not real? I was like, oh yeah, we're actually just smuggling rhinos. And done. It was amazing. Oh my god. So yeah, I know how to do things. So yeah, happier note there. So it's just learning more of the craft and understanding it, and just building it and being crazy. Like, I just like taking to another level. And what I like about my stuff is you don't necessarily need some of the things, because the big craziness is overshadowing the groundwork. And so what I need to work on is the fundamentals and the groundwork, the foundations, because what I'm doing is a lot of, here's this outlandish idea, so that you don't care about who I am, you don't care about who anyone else is. This idea is so big, you just like, oh, that's a crazy thing, let's just see about that. And that is a lot of style and no substance, I suppose, is the way to put it. So I need to work on substance, but I'm really good on style, and that's a nice feeling there. It's not like it's so I got to work on the basics basically. But I can do like level 4, while I got to learn still level 1 and 2. So that's a nice feeling in a way, but also just being mindful of that humility to get better at that. I will, and one more on this one, which I thought was just a really fun idea, and that was they went factory. Oh no, I gotta tell 2 more because these are just fun. This is making it long, but this makes it end more positive than earlier. So one was factory, and factory was just like, okay, we're in a factory. I'm gonna make this an assembly line. So I get up first so we can get going. Sometimes I let them go first because obviously I don't want to be the one always dominating it. But in this one, I went first, and I'm just acting like I'm just doing factory line stuff, and I move it. And they recognize that, so they do something in the factory line, and they bring it to me, and I do it, and there you go. And then we're just doing the same actions over and over again. So we're doing this while we're talking. And I open it up. I'm like, we've been working together for 10 years, and I don't know your name. And everyone just dies. Because just how absurd that is. Apparently I'm good at absurd. And they're just dying laughing. And then once they're done, we get back to the scene like, it's like, yeah, we don't know each other's names. And then we get the names, and like they're Joey. They're Joseph. I'm like, my name's Joseph too. Like, where can I take this? Like, I'm also Joseph. Ain't that something? And then they ask, what are we working on? I have no idea. But it's like, so it's just the absurdity of these people have the same name. They're working on something. They don't know what it is. And then it becomes, I was like, well, they got good dental, so I'm not going anywhere. And then that gets a laugh. And then it leads to like, you know what? I wonder what you think the other guy down the line, what do you think his name is? Like, we should ask. And so someone jumps in, and then they're the third person, and they're like, yeah, what's your name? They're like, Joey. I'm like, and we all react the same way. And then they cut the scene. And everyone has their interpretations of where it goes next. And somehow I made it stupidly philosophical where I was going to take it. Where the next step for it, for me, was it was going to be the discovery, because once I said, I'm also Joseph, this is where I was taking it, is we're all Josephs. We're all Josephs. And the where I was going to put it was we're clones. And the machine we're making is a cloning machine to make more Josephs. So it was just a thing unto itself. And I don't know how I made it so abstract. But my big thought at the end of the whole thing was we're all just cogs in the machine, and one of the cogs finally squeaked. That was the thought at the end. It was like he was like, you know what? Been here for 10 years. What? Like, just the cogs squeaking. And that makes it a little more philosophical. Didn't mean to, but that's the funny thing about improv. The funny thing about improv is I have no idea what I'm going to say, but I know it's going to be something. And I've been blessed with it being hilarious every time. That sounds so arrogant. So the last one I want to mention, then we're done, because this is going long and Jinx is going to be mad at me, but it's so good. We did 2 scenes earlier and then just build with the same people. Again, earlier in the thing, it was a scene of just a father and daughter, and we're going fishing, and we're fishing because, the idea is we're going catfishing because the cat died and the mom's really upset, so we're going to get catfish for the mom so that she can feel better. But the daughter's also upset because she liked the cat too. And the punchline was, yeah, well, your mom's more important. That made everyone laugh. So another scene, the prompt was Subway. I'm like, all right. I was at first thinking, let's make sandwiches. But they started it first. So we're actually on the subway. I'm like, okay. They're up here. I'm sitting here reading a newspaper. And she's like, Dad, do we really have to go to the museum? I'm like, well, don't you like the museum, honey? Like, you liked it when you were 8. And she's like, yeah, but I'm 16 now. I'm like, yeah, but 8 times 2, you'll like it twice as much, And she's like, you and your damn math. I'm like, well, honey, I have a master's in math, and I'm hoping someday you'll get a PhD in math, do better than I did. And she's like, I hate math and all this stuff. And then I'm like, okay, this is going as far as it can. So I'm like, okay. I tell her, honey, I need you to sit down. I have an important thing I need to tell you. And everyone is leaning forward. Everyone in the seating area is leaning forward to hear what's coming up next. And you're assuming divorce is what's coming. Because what else could you assume here? So I'm like, honey, your mom and I, we had a very important conversation. And we got a lawyer and everything. And this is a hard one to talk about. But this is a hard thing to say. But, honey, we're emancipating you. And she's like, what? And the crowd goes nuts. Because they didn't see that coming. Everyone's thinking divorce. We're like, we're emancipating you. And it was just scene. Done. And I don't know where I would have gone if we took it further. But I just killed that scene. I killed every scene. That's what gives me pride is I kept killing my scenes. And it was just good. Like, they're good short scenes. I don't know where it'd go if it was a long scene. But as a short scene, I'm doing amazing. And I'm loving it. It is... When you get people laughing, when you get some people, they were tearing up. It was amazing. When you can get that is a high. That is a high, and I was riding it, and I just kept running through it, and it was amazing. So, of course, I want to keep doing this. Well, once I have free time from work again, I'm going to keep doing this. And just try to get to the next level, and further and further and further, and do something really fun with it. And hopefully, I can find a way for that to translate to the channel, obviously. I don't know how, but somehow. The biggest thing, is it intrinsic is the word? Thing about it is, improv makes you think faster on your feet. And that is probably the biggest lesson I'm hoping for the channel is, if I can think faster on my feet and be funnier on my feet, I can be funnier in the videos. That is the plan. That is the hope. And maybe also funny in the writing, because we are working on the abridged Gundam Wing. So all that. So... yeah, that's the vlog. We got through all this to see all this. I have no idea what next week's topic's going to be. I had fun talking. Hope you have fun watching and listening. And that's what's all about it. Having fun. Thanks for coming by. And see you next time.